Welcome to the Online Digital Marketing Podcast. We'll be discussing marketing strategies, trends, and tips that will help your business succeed in the digital age. Every episode, we'll be interviewing industry professionals and providing valuable insights on how to leverage digital tools for maximum engagement and ROI. Don't forget to subscribe so you can stay up to date on the latest trends in online marketing.
All right, so today we're going to be taking a deep dive into Alex Hormozi.
Yeah.
And more specifically, his strategies for lead generation.
Cool.
And we're going to be pulling all this information from my personal notes that I took from a variety of his content, as well as a detailed review of his book, $100 Leads.
Awesome.
So whether you are prepping for a big marketing meeting, or maybe looking to really level up your own business, or, maybe you're just fascinated by how this guy built a business empire.
Right.
Whatever your reason for being here, you're going to want to stick around for some seriously actionable insights.
I think what's really fascinating about Hormozi is that he really digs deep into the psychology of your ideal client.
Yeah.
Their motivations, their fears, even those things that keep them up at night.
Mm-hmm.
He calls this defining your ICP, or your ideal client profile.
Right.
And honestly, it's really the cornerstone of his entire approach.
So it's not just about, knowing your customer. It's about really
Understanding them.
Yeah, understanding them on a deeper level.
Yeah.
But how does that actually translate into attracting more leads?
Well, it's all about crafting these irresistible offers.
Okay.
And this is where Hormozi, I think, gets super interesting.
Yeah.
He talks about this idea of stacking value.
Okay.
Which essentially means bundling your services or your products in a way that just creates this sense of urgency and high perceived value.
Okay, so can you give me a concrete example of what this stacking value looks like in action?
Totally. So one of the most compelling examples from the book involves this chiropractor.
Okay.
Who, instead of just offering, your standard consultation,
right,
created this whole package.
Oh, wow.
That included a free initial assessment, and then a personalized treatment plan, and then a bonus session on posture correction techniques.
Oh, wow.
All for a limited time.
That's a lot more enticing than just a basic consultation.
Right.
It makes you think, well, if I'm going to see a chiropractor anyway, why not get all the extras
totally
while they're on offer?
Yeah.
But having a great offer is just one piece of the puzzle, right?
It is.
How do you actually get it in front of the right people?
That's where Hormozi's breakdown of lead channels comes in.
Okay.
He categorizes them into these 3 buckets.
All right.
Owned, earned, and paid. And the real magic happens when you combine all 3 strategically.
Okay, so let's unpack these channels one by one.
Yeah.
So owned media, that's your website, your email list, your social media platforms.
Yeah.
Essentially all the places where you have full control over the message and direct access to your audience.
Right. It's your home turf.
Yeah.
And Hormozi really emphasizes, building a strong foundation here by creating high-quality content that, educates and provides real value to your audience.
Yeah.
Think of it like this library of resources that positions you as an expert in your field.
Yeah, so you're building trust and authority before you even start selling.
Exactly.
But what about reaching a wider audience beyond your existing followers? That's where earned media comes in.
Right. Exactly. Earned media is all about leveraging the audiences of others.
Okay.
Through partnerships, collaborations, PR, even getting featured on podcasts.
Right.
It's about borrowing credibility and trust from established sources to reach a broader market.
I can see how that would be such a powerful strategy for building brand awareness and reaching new customers.
Totally.
It's a stamp of approval from a trusted source.
It is.
But what about when you need to reach a very specific audience and fast?
Yeah.
That's where paid media comes into play, right?
Absolutely. Paid media includes, all your digital advertising, so your Google ads, Facebook ads, YouTube ads. But Hormozi doesn't advocate for just throwing money at a campaign and hoping for the best.
Right.
He stresses this data-driven approach.
Yeah.
Start small, test rigorously.
Yeah.
And only scale what's actually proven to generate a positive return on investment.
That sounds like a really smart approach, especially in today's world where everyone's just bombarded with ads.
Right.
But how does Hormozi suggest navigating the paid media landscape and like avoiding those costly mistakes?
Well, he emphasizes the importance of tracking every single aspect of your campaigns.
Okay.
From like click-through rates to conversion rates.
Yeah.
You need to analyze what's working and what's not.
Right.
And be willing to quickly adjust your approach based on the data.
So it's about like constantly testing, refining, and optimizing your strategies.
Yes.
Based on real-world results.
Exactly.
Okay.
And this data-driven approach really ties into another like key concept that Hormozi emphasizes,
Right.
which is the power of scaling and automation.
Okay. I'm intrigued. Let's dive into that.
Okay.
What does he mean by systematizing your successful strategies?
So it's not enough to just like stumble upon something that works.
Right.
You need to create systems and processes that can be replicated and scaled efficiently. This means automating repetitive tasks, utilizing software tools,
Right.
and leveraging analytics to focus on your most effective lead generation channels.
So it's like building a machine that can generate leads consistently without you having to manually crank the handle every time.
Exactly. It's about working smarter, not harder.
I like that.
And one of the most practical examples of this is the use of CRM software, which Hormozi is a huge advocate for.
Okay, CRM are like customer relationship management software.
Yeah.
I heard the term, but can you break down how it actually works in the context of lead generation?
Yeah, so think of CRM as like your central hub for managing all of your leads.
Okay.
From initial contact through to conversion and beyond, you can automate follow-up emails,
Okay.
track their interactions with your content,
Right.
and even segment them based on their interests and behavior.
So it's like having this like highly organized automated assistant working 24/7
Yes,
to nurture those leads and move them towards becoming paying customers.
precisely. And the beauty of CRM is that it scales with your business.
Oh, wow.
As you grow and acquire more leads, the system can handle that increased volume without requiring a proportionate increase in your manual effort.
That sounds like a game changer, especially for businesses looking to scale their operations
It is.
without getting like bogged down in administrative tasks.
Yeah.
But what about the content itself?
Okay.
How does Hormozi suggest approaching content creation to attract and convert leads?
His philosophy is very simple, yet powerful.
Okay.
Provide real value, educate your audience, solve their problems. Don't just try to sell them something. Teach them something valuable first.
I love that approach. It's about establishing yourself as a trusted resource and like building a relationship with your audience before you even ask for the sale.
Right.
Is there a specific quote from the book that like encapsulates this idea?
Absolutely. One that really stood out to me was, teach them what to do, sell them how to do it.
Ooh, that's brilliant.
Yeah,
It perfectly captures the essence of his content strategy.
it does.
But even with great content and a solid system in place,
Yeah.
there's still one crucial element that can make or break your lead generation efforts. Right?
You're absolutely right. Even with the best strategies in the world, success ultimately hinges on your mindset.
Okay.
And this is where Hormozi's insights go beyond traditional marketing advice.
Okay, let's dive into this mindset piece.
Let's do it.
What are some of the key principles that Hormozi emphasizes for achieving lead generation success?
He talked about these 3 core mindset shifts.
Okay.
Thinking abundantly, iterating rapidly, and obsessing over metrics.
Okay.
And these are more than just buzzwords. They're really like foundational principles that can dramatically impact your results.
Okay, I'm ready to unpack these principles.
Awesome.
So let's start with thinking abundantly.
Okay.
What does that actually mean in like a practical sense?
It means shifting away from the scarcity mindset.
Okay.
You know, the belief that there's only a limited amount of success to go around. And embracing the idea that there's enough opportunity for everyone to thrive.
So it's about having like a more expansive view of what's possible.
Yes.
And believing that you can achieve significant growth without being limited by like self-imposed constraints.
Exactly.
But what does this abundant thinking look like in practice?
It means being willing to invest in your business, whether that's, investing in tools, talent, or marketing campaigns.
Yeah.
It's about seeing these investments not as expenses, but as opportunities
Right.
to create a bigger and better future.
I can see how that shift in perspective could be like incredibly powerful.
Totally.
It's about moving away from like fear and limitations and embracing a mindset of growth and possibility.
Yes.
But how does this abundant thinking tie into the concept of iterating rapidly?
It's about embracing this culture of continuous improvement testing and experimentation.
Okay.
It's about understanding that perfection is the enemy of progress, and that the fastest way to learn and grow is to launch things, gather data, and make adjustments quickly.
So it's about embracing that like agile, data-driven approach we talked about earlier and not being afraid to make mistakes along the way.
Exactly. And this brings us to that final mindset principle,
Okay.
obsessing over metrics.
All right, let's break that one down.
Okay.
Why is it so important to obsess over metrics in the context of lead generation?
Because data is your compass.
Okay.
It tells you what's working, what's not, and where you should be focusing your efforts.
Right.
It's about being ruthlessly analytical
Okay.
and using data to make informed decisions about your strategies and investments.
So it's not enough to just implement the tactics. You have to be constantly measuring,
Yes.
analyzing, and optimizing based on the data that you're collecting.
It's about creating this feedback loop where you're constantly learning and improving, which brings us full circle back to those 3 core principles: thinking abundantly, iterating rapidly, and obsessing over metrics.
Yeah.
These principles are really the foundation for everything we've discussed today.
Yeah.
From crafting irresistible offers to building automated systems.
It sounds like these principles are not just for lead generation.
Right.
They can be applied to any area of business and life where you're looking to achieve significant growth.
Absolutely. They create a framework for approaching challenges.
Yeah.
With a growth-oriented mindset and a commitment to continuous improvement.
This has been an incredibly insightful exploration of Hormozi's strategies,
It has.
but I'm sure there's even more to uncover. I can't wait to dive into some specific examples in part 2.
Let's do it.
Welcome back. I'm ready to dive even deeper into Hormozi's world and see how these concepts actually play out in, real-world scenarios.
Let's do it.
You mentioned earlier some intriguing case studies.
Yeah.
Can we, explore those now?
Absolutely. So one that really highlights Hormozi's stacking value concept is the story of this gym owner
Okay.
who was struggling to attract new members.
Right.
So instead of just offering, your standard monthly membership,
Yeah.
he created this package that included a personalized fitness assessment, a customized workout plan, 2 sessions with a personal trainer,
Wow.
and even a branded gym bag and water bottle.
Wow. That's a lot more enticing than a basic gym membership.
Right.
It makes you feel like you're getting so much more for your money.
Totally.
It's not just about access to equipment. It's about a whole fitness experience.
It is.
But did this strategy actually work?
It did. By bundling these additional services and presenting them as a limited time offer,
Okay.
the gym owner saw a dramatic increase in new member signups.
Oh, wow.
People were drawn to the perceived value and the sense of urgency.
That's a great example of how thinking outside the box and offering something truly unique can make a huge difference.
It does.
It's not just about competing on price. It's about offering a value proposition that's hard to resist.
Exactly.
But let's move beyond just crafting offers.
Okay.
How about those 3 lead channels:
Yeah.
owned, earned, and paid? Are there any specific examples of businesses successfully leveraging this multi-channel approach?
So one example that stood out to me was this local bakery
Okay.
that wanted to increase their customer base. So they started by focusing on their owned media, their website, and social media pages.
Okay.
They revamped their website to make it more visually appealing and user-friendly.
Right.
And they started sharing engaging content on social media, like behind-the-scenes videos of their baking process and mouth-watering photos of their latest creations.
So they were really showcasing their brand personality and creating a connection with their audience.
Exactly.
But that was just the first step, right?
Yeah.
What did they do to expand their reach through earned media?
They started collaborating with local food bloggers and influencers.
Okay.
They offered free samples of their products in exchange for honest reviews and social media shoutouts.
Well, that's smart.
And then they also partnered with a local charity for a bake sale,
Oh, wow.
which generated positive press coverage and goodwill in the community.
That's a clever strategy.
It is.
It's not just about traditional advertising. It's about creating authentic partnerships that leverage the influence and trust of others.
Totally.
But I'm guessing they didn't stop there.
Nope.
What about paid media? How did they incorporate that into their multi-channel approach?
They strategically used Facebook and Instagram ads
Okay.
to target people in their local area who had shown an interest in bakeries or desserts.
Okay.
And they ran A/B tests with different ad creatives and targeting options to find the most effective combinations.
So they weren't just blindly throwing money at ads. They were using data to inform their decisions and optimize their campaigns.
Exactly.
Did this multi-channel strategy pay off for them?
It did. They saw a significant increase in foot traffic to their bakery online orders and overall brand awareness.
Oh, wow.
So by combining owned, earned, and paid media strategically, they created this powerful synergy that amplified their reach and impact.
That's a fantastic example of how a multi-channel approach can work for a small business. It's not just for big corporations with massive marketing budgets.
Right.
But let's shift gears for a moment and talk about that systematization and automation piece.
Yeah.
Any specific examples of how businesses are putting those concepts into practice?
One example that comes to mind is this real estate agent who was struggling to keep up with all the leads she was generating.
Right.
She was spending hours each day manually sending emails, scheduling appointments, and trying to remember where each lead was in the sales funnel.
That sounds exhausting.
It was.
I can see how that would quickly become overwhelming, especially as your business starts to grow.
Totally.
How does she solve this problem?
She invested in a CRM system
Okay.
and started automating many of her tasks.
Okay. How so?
So she created email templates for different stages of the sales process.
Okay.
From initial contact to follow-up after a showing.
Right.
And set up automated sequences to nurture her leads.
So she was essentially creating like a personalized, automated experience for each lead without having to manually manage every interaction?
Right.
But that's just one aspect of CRM, right?
It is.
What other features did she find valuable?
She started using the CRM to track her leads' interactions with her website and social media pages.
Okay.
This gave her valuable insights into their interests and preferences, which allowed her to personalize her communication even further.
So she was using data to tailor her approach and provide like a more relevant experience for each lead.
Yeah.
That makes sense. But wasn't it time-consuming to set all of this up?
It is a bit of a learning curve.
Yeah.
But the time investment is well worth it in the long run.
Okay.
Once the system is set up, it saves an incredible amount of time.
Right.
And allows you to focus on the tasks that require your unique skills and expertise.
It's about working smarter, not harder, and leveraging technology to streamline your operations.
It is.
But did this real estate agent see like a positive impact on her business?
She did, by automating her follow-up process and using data to personalize her communication. She was able to close more deals and significantly increase her revenue.
Oh, wow. That's a great example of how systematizing and automating key processes can free up your time and allow you to focus on what you do best.
It is.
But let's circle back to the content piece.
Right.
We talked about the importance of providing value and educating your audience.
Right.
Are there any specific examples of businesses like doing this really well?
One that comes to mind is this online retailer selling sustainable clothing.
Okay.
So instead of just showcasing their products and highlighting their eco-friendly features, they created this blog and social media series.
Okay.
Focused on educating their audience about the environmental impact of fast fashion.
So they weren't just trying to sell their products, they were becoming like a trusted resource and a voice for a larger movement.
Totally.
That's a powerful way to build a loyal following. But I'm guessing they also incorporated a sales element into their content strategy.
Of course, they seamlessly integrated calls to action into their content, inviting their audience to explore their collections and learn more about their commitment to sustainability.
Right.
But they did it in a way that felt authentic and aligned with their values.
Right.
Not pushy or salesy.
That's a great example of how content marketing can be done effectively.
It is.
It's not just about creating content for the sake of content.
Yeah.
It's about providing real value, building relationships, and subtly guiding your audience towards a purchase.
Exactly.
But even with great content and a smart strategy in place, there's still one crucial element that can make or break your success, right?
You're exactly right. Even with all the tools and tactics in the world, it's your mindset that ultimately determines your level of success.
Okay.
And this is where Hormozi's 3 core principles, thinking abundantly, iterating rapidly, and obsessing over metrics, really come into play.
Or let's revisit those principles.
And see how they translate into real-world success stories.
Yeah.
Can you share an example of a business that embodies the thinking abundantly mindset?
One that comes to mind is this startup founder.
Okay.
Who was initially hesitant to invest in paid advertising.
Okay, why?
He had a limited budget, and was afraid of wasting money on campaigns that didn't deliver results.
Right.
But he realized that his fear was holding him back from reaching a wider audience. So he shifted his mindset and started seeing advertising not as an expense, but as an investment in his company's future growth.
So he overcame that scarcity mindset and embraced the idea that spending money strategically can actually lead to greater returns in the long run.
Exactly.
But did this shift in thinking actually pay off for him?
It did. He carefully planned his campaigns, targeted his ideal audience, and tracked his results meticulously.
Okay.
And while there were some initial bumps along the way, he was able to refine his approach and eventually generate a significant return on his advertising investment. That's a great example of how a shift in mindset can lead to tangible results.
Totally.
But what about iterating rapidly? Any examples of businesses that have embraced this principle and seen success?
One example that stands out is this software company that was developing a new product. And they knew that perfection wasn't attainable.
Right.
So they focused on getting like a minimum viable product to market as quickly as possible. They gathered feedback from early adopters, identified areas for improvement, and released updates and new features on a regular basis.
So they were embracing that agile approach, learning from their mistakes and constantly improving their product based on real-world feedback.
Exactly.
But did this rapid iteration cycle actually lead to a better product?
It did, by getting their product into the hands of users early on. They were able to identify and address issues that they wouldn't have discovered in a traditional development cycle. They were also able to adapt to changing market demands and user preferences more quickly.
That's a fantastic example of how embracing imperfection and focusing on continuous improvement can lead to a superior product and a more satisfied customer base.
Totally.
But what about that final principle, obsessing over metrics? Any examples of businesses that have used data to drive their success?
One that comes to mind is this e-commerce company that was struggling to convert website visitors into paying customers. They were running various marketing campaigns, but they weren't sure which ones were actually driving sales. So they decided to start tracking every aspect of their customer journey. From website traffic sources to add to cart rates to checkout completion rates.
So they were taking a deep dive into their data to understand what was working and what wasn't.
Exactly.
But did this obsession with metrics actually lead to any improvements?
It did. By analyzing their data, they discovered that a large percentage of their website visitors were abandoning their carts before completing their purchases. So they investigated further and found that their checkout process was too complicated and time-consuming.
So they identified a major pain point for their customers by looking at the data.
Yes.
But did they actually do anything to address this issue?
They did. They simplified their checkout process, streamlined the payment options, and made the entire experience more user-friendly. And as a result, their cart abandonment rates decreased dramatically, and their sales increased significantly.
That's a perfect example of how data can reveal valuable insights.
It does.
And guide your decision-making. It's not about guessing or relying on gut feelings. It's about letting the numbers tell the story and using that information to make strategic improvements.
Exactly.
These are such inspiring examples. It's clear that Hormozi's principles are not just theoretical concepts. They're practical tools that can be applied to achieve real-world success.
They are. And I think the key takeaway here is that it's not enough to just understand these principles. You have to actually implement them. And be willing to experiment, adapt, and continuously improve.
It's about taking action, learning from your experiences, and constantly striving to do better.
Exactly.
This has been a truly insightful exploration of Hormozi strategies.
It has.
But I'm ready for even more. Let's continue this journey and see where it takes us in part 3.
Sounds good.
Welcome back to the final part of our deep dive into Alex Hormozi's world of lead generation. We've covered a ton of ground, from crafting those irresistible offers to mastering the art of multi-channel outreach. And we've explored some pretty inspiring real-world examples along the way.
Yeah, it's been a fascinating journey.
It has.
And, as we're wrapping things up, I keep coming back to one of Hormozi's core principles that I think is often overlooked in the marketing world.
Ooh, I'm intrigued. Lay it on me.
Okay, it's the power of simplicity. In a world where marketing strategies are often so convoluted and filled with jargon, Hormozi just cuts through the noise with this refreshingly straightforward approach.
Yeah, I've noticed that too. He has a way of breaking down complex concepts into these bite-sized, actionable steps.
Totally.
It's not about flashy tactics or the latest trends. It's about focusing on the fundamentals and executing them consistently.
Exactly. And this emphasis on simplicity extends beyond just his strategies.
Okay.
It's also reflected in his communication style.
Yeah.
He uses clear, concise language that anyone can understand.
Right.
He doesn't try to impress you with fancy words or industry buzzwords.
Right.
He just gets straight to the point.
That's so important, especially when you're trying to connect with a wide audience.
Totally.
It's about meeting people where they are and speaking their language.
Yeah.
But how does this principle of simplicity actually translate into building a successful business?
Well, think about it this way. When your message is clear and easy to understand, it's more likely to resonate with your audience.
Right.
They're more likely to remember it,
Mm-hmm.
more likely to act on it.
Makes sense. When you're bombarded with information all day long, it's those simple, straightforward messages that cut through the clutter and stick in your mind.
Totally.
But how can we apply this principle of simplicity to our own lead generation efforts?
Well, I think a good place to start is to look at your website and marketing materials.
Okay.
Are they easy to navigate?
Yeah.
Is the language clear and concise? Does your message come across in a way that's easy for your ideal client to understand?
Those are great questions to ask. It's about putting yourself in your customer's shoes and seeing things from their perspective.
Exactly. And don't be afraid to simplify your offers too.
Okay.
Sometimes less is more.
Right.
Instead of overwhelming your audience with a ton of options, focus on presenting a few core offers that are clearly defined and easy to understand.
It's about making it easy for people to say yes. But beyond just our messaging and offers, how can we embrace simplicity in our overall approach to lead generation?
It's about focusing on what truly matters.
Okay.
Don't get bogged down in the latest marketing fads or try to implement every tactic under the sun.
Right.
Just identify the core strategies that are most likely to work for your business.
Yeah.
And then execute them flawlessly.
It's about quality over quantity.
Totally.
It's about doing a few things really well instead of spreading yourself too thin.
Yeah.
But how do you know which strategies to focus on?
That's where your data comes in.
Right.
Remember that principle we talked about earlier, obsessing over metrics?
Yes.
Use your data to identify the channels, the campaigns, the tactics that are generating the best results for your business. And then double down on those.
It's about being laser focused and investing your time and energy where it's going to have the biggest impact.
It is.
But even with a simplified approach, lead generation can still feel overwhelming at times. What advice would you give to someone who's feeling stuck or discouraged?
Don't be afraid to ask for help. There are so many resources available, from books and courses to coaches and consultants. And sometimes just talking to someone who's been there before can give you the clarity and the motivation you need to keep moving forward.
That's great advice. And remember, you don't have to figure it all out on your own. You don't. There's a whole community of entrepreneurs and marketers out there who are willing to share their knowledge and support you on your journey.
They are.
But before we wrap things up, I want to leave our listeners with a final challenge.
Okay.
Are you ready for it?
Hit me with it.
I want you to take everything we've discussed today, all the strategies, the examples, the mindset shifts, and identify one area where you can simplify your approach to lead generation.
I love that.
Yeah.
It could be something as simple as decluttering your website or streamlining your email sequences or maybe focusing on one or two key marketing channels.
Right.
Instead of trying to be everywhere at once.
Exactly. It's about identifying those areas where you can create more clarity, more focus, and ultimately more impact.
I agree.
Well, this has been an absolutely incredible deep dive into Alex Hormozi's strategies for lead generation.
It has been.
If you want to learn more about Hormozi and his work, you can find links to his book and other resources in the show notes below. A huge thank you to our expert for sharing their insights today.
It's been a pleasure.
And of course, to all of you, our amazing listeners, for tuning in. We'll see you in the next deep dive.
Ready to take your online business to the next level? Subscribe to our digital marketing podcast and then join our Accountability for Success Mastermind. With expert advice from industry leaders, you'll gain knowledge and insights that will help you succeed in today's digital marketing world. From social media strategies to search engine optimization, we have all the tools you need. Learn from successful entrepreneurs and take control of your online success. Join the Accountability for Success Mastermind now at bit.ly/AFSM podcast.